An alcoholic's struggle. I could go on for hours, days about this. I'm not gonna. If you're struggling with alcohol, you probably know where I'm coming from. I'm just gonna go back a lot of years. When I was a teenager and I used alcohol then, basically because I was quite a shy kid, teenager. I liked it. I liked the taste of it, and I liked the way I felt. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't enjoy it. I was always a little bit, I suppose, apprehensive about life when I was younger. I had a reasonably good childhood. I was quite bright at school. My parents didn't really want me to stay on, if that makes sense. So I got a job which was sort of, well, it was electronic engineer, and I hated being an engineer. I wanted to do A-levels and go to university. Anyway, I did this engineering thing, did an HNC, and it was quite frustrating doing the job. I didn't enjoy it. It was local to where I lived. I wanted to move away, you see. However, I did that 4 years, and I got bored sick. So I used to drink at night, most nights. Just have 3 or 4 pints with a couple of guys I used to know. It was quite a normal thing to do, really, to be fair. After this 4-year sort of apprenticeship training thing, I came out with a qualification, but I didn't like the job. And I had about 6 months off with another guy. Unfortunately passed away quite recently, a good friend of mine. And he decided to join the police. Well, my dad had been in the police, and I was very against the police. Not against it, but I lived in a police house and lived in a police station, really. However, I graduated to the police like him. I ended up in the Met. And at the time, there was a big drinking culture. In the 80s, there was a big drinking culture anyway, I think, everywhere, really. As there is now. It's just different forms. People drink at home more now, I think, than they used to. When I was in my early 20s, so 21, I was a young policeman, dealing with all sorts of carry on in South London. I pretty quickly did the promotion exam and got promoted in my 20s and went to a very famous police station, West End Central, which is just off Regent Street. So anybody knows London, it's very central. It covers Soho and Mayfair, the bright lights, as it were. Coming from a small Northumbrian town, it opened my eyes to a lot of things, particularly alcohol. Because as I've said, I used to enjoy a drink. And I was surprised how many people used to drink during the day there, because not many people used to drink in the northeast during the day. They didn't have as much money for a start, and there wasn't the availability. But in central London, even in the 80s, there was plenty of availability, you can imagine. So I drank a bit more there. Was earning good money, got married, didn't have any children at the time. And over that 10-year period when we didn't have any children, it was a bit of a party time, really. I was working pretty hard. I did really well in my job. I became a little bit of a habitual drinker. Every late shift when we finished at 10:30, I'd go to the pub for half an hour, 4 or 5 pints. In that time, I was a big drinker, I was a fast drinker. Fast drinker is the best way to put it. I get home and I take the dog out, have a couple more bottles of beer in the forest, and I think, oh, I've got a bit of a lie, and I'd have to be back at work at 2 o'clock tomorrow. But I would sit till 2 or 3 in the morning, you see. So you get up at 7, so my sleep was disturbed a bit. So I didn't sleep particularly well, but I was young and fit, so I got back up, got back in the underground, went back to work again for 1 o'clock on the underground, got back to work at 2 o'clock, fine, sober, did my job again. And we had different shift patterns, and sometimes we used to even go to the markets in the morning and have a drink after night duty, finish at 6:30, get an underground to a pub in East London, and it was packed. I couldn't believe it. My life had totally changed from this sleepy Northumbrian town to being in this manic, fast-moving city where I had a nice house. I was enjoying my life, but in the background there was alcohol there all the time. That was just ticking away in the background. And as I got a little bit older, I still functioned very well. I had no children, and the breaking point, I call it the breaking point, was when my wife fell pregnant. And I thought, wow, my life's going to change here, because I'd been drinking and I'd been doing well, but I could have a lot of rest. There was only me and the dog when she was at work, you see. You can have a lot of sleep, it's just you and the dog. But when you have, in addition to your family, a young baby, then your life completely changes, especially if you're a heavy drinker, because you have no downtime and you can't really function without rest. Because a lot of drinking involves a lot of rest, a lot of recovery. And if you think about the amount of time spent recovering from alcohol, spend days in bed, and all that's got to stop because you've got to look after your baby at times. Because I was working shifts, I could look after my daughter, who's now 31, by the way, at different times of the day. But my rest period from drinking had now gone. So she did go to a childminder for a while, but in between that, I used to look after her. I used to love her. I still do love her. She's my daughter. She's great. She helps me with this. She's fantastic. So she's the reason I'm alive. But I'm getting onto the alcohol here. Let's cut the chase. So when she was very young, I didn't have much time to rest. So I'd get up with her, instead of getting up at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd be up at 6 in the morning after having 4 hours sleep, groggy sleep, because I've been drinking alcohol, drinking beer. I never drank spirits or wine, anything like that. I tried them, but I didn't like them. So I just stuck to my lagers and strength lagers, I would say. Peroni, Stellas, that sort of thing. And as time went on, I got more and more tired, less energy, and probably a drink more to cope. I used to think, well, I'm so tired, so run down and have another drink. It used to perk me up a little bit. And at one point, I got a diabetes check, because it was thought within the family that I may have diabetes. So the sugar and the alcohol would maybe lift me up. It wasn't that. I'm still not a diabetic. I don't want to be a diabetic. It's just another little thing that can come into alcohol. So I thought, well, maybe I'm diabetic. No, it wasn't that. It was just the energy level used to lift me up for a while, and then it would crash. I was still doing well at work. In the end, I struggled along for years like that, and it was a hard struggle. But I think back, I don't know how I did it. I was living in more or less constant withdrawal. I was still drinking after work, still getting home, had less sleep. Getting older, as the years tick over, don't they? Daughter's getting a bit older, doing more responsibility. I'm taking her to little functions and whatnot. You can't drink. Well, she didn't drink and drive. I would never do that. I used to get taxis and all sorts. I was ducking and diving. I was hiding the drink. And it just got to just more or less breaking point. The marriage was starting to break down. I eventually retired and moved back up north. And then very quickly after that, we split up. But I still saw my daughter every other weekend, as dads do, you know the score, when they're in the early teens and whatnot. I was 12, 13, was split up long before that. And I was struggling with alcohol then, but I had a few little times off it. But then I'd always relapse. And I'd lost my relationship really with my parents in a way, with my daughter in a little way, but I did manage to get that back on track when I was sober again. And then I went really downhill in 2014, when I was really struggling then. I'd had 8 years off and then decided stupidly to go back on the drink to impress this woman. It didn't work out, and I couldn't get any medication to stop. I ended up living in an apartment where I had no heating, no bathroom, basically, no hot water. Wasn't eating very well. I couldn't even get to the doctors in the end, and I was struggling really badly with that. I had no energy, I had no future, I had nothing. I went down 9 stone. By 2019, I was on death's door. There's a couple of videos about that, and do some more people want to listen about that. Again, I had numerous procedures done. I was probably too weak even to have a lap transplant, but somehow I've managed to come back to life by not drinking is the first thing, and persevering, getting exercise, all that sort of thing, doing some research, having a very positive mindset. And here I am, still alive and kicking. But 2019, I was 57. And I thought I'd done it down at 57. But I'd ignored all the warning signs, you see, all the warning signs. What I'm trying to say is it catches up with you very quickly. When you're 21, you never think you're going to be 51 or 61, do you? It's miles ahead in time, but it doesn't go like that. Life picks up pace as you go to work more. You try and build a life for yourself and your partner and your family. Then you have kids and all this extra, not stress, extra responsibility, I'd put it down. It's not stress, it's responsibility comes on top of you. And if you're a drinker, you try and alleviate the responsibility of having drinks to try and relax. Because as a drinker, I could never relax without a drink. Now I'm sober, I can read a book. I can listen to music. I can just sit quietly. Well, my girlfriend would say not quietly. However, what I'm trying to say is I've got some peace back in my life. And I wonder sometimes, did I ever have any peace? As a teenager, I was always pretty frustrated. I couldn't get out of a small town. I wanted to play in a band. There's lots of things I wanted to do, and I was quite restricted there. And then when I got this opening to go to London, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I used to love it. And the alcohol went with that. You know, it was all part and parcel of the same game, really. So you've got to watch what you're doing here. If you are in the state I'm in, or was in, or anywhere near that, then get some help. Give me a shout. I'm doing some one-to-one mentoring sessions. I've got a little book out as well. All of this is in the description part of the videos. I'm really trying to help people here. So I wouldn't want anybody else to get the state I was in. And it can creep up quickly. It can creep up naturally. It can creep up without you really realising, to be fair. Because you just think it's normal to feel a bit groggy. And that's the state I got into. If you benefit from the videos, then please subscribe. Leave me a comment. Have a look at the links I put in there. Stay safe, and I'll speak soon.